Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello, 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 hello. We want to beg your forgiveness for the delay, technical issues, but that's part of the charm of this program, don't you think? Technical issues, and they sort of remain in that while we can get now Susan on the show, we can't get you. So no calls for you, but we do have Susan, and we're going to try to iron this out by tomorrow, come hell or high water, okay? I, on the other hand, refuse to get flustered by any of it because it's the all-new Lynn Cullen. Susan, are you there by any chance?
I am. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Jeez.
Yeah, sorry. Technical snafu-foo-foos. And,
well, I'll tell you, it really was weird this morning because as any caller into your show knows, you have to, or at least I have to.
No, you have to. Right.
I have to enter a series of numbers.
Right.
To get to the correct place that I need to be in order to be your guest on the phone, I guess.
Right.
So today when I was doing it, I called in, and then it says enter the show number, and I would push the button on my phone, and nothing would happen.
Well,
as
Susan,
as if my phone was malfunctioning.
No, this is
you guys.
No, this is exactly though the problem we are having on our end. We can't get you somehow got through after trying and trying and trying. We've been trying and trying and trying and can't get through. So it's odd. I mean,
it is odd, but it's something with their program. I just want you to know that. So
Carlo is saying, tell me something I don't know. Okay.
I know.
Here we are. Anyway.
Here we are.
Anyway. That's good.
Here we are.
And it's good to hear you back. It's been a long time. It's been like 6 weeks, I think, since you've been on the show.
It has been.
Yeah. So welcome
back. And I've just been walking around all by myself, screaming at trees because I have nobody to rant at. But anyway.
Is there, I mean, it's not, Susan, it's not like anything happened in the last 6 weeks that would be rant-worthy.
No, my current rant is about false eyelashes.
Oh, well, excuse me. What?
They are showing up in the strangest places. And I just want to say, ladies, this really is my current rant. If we want to get all Me Too-y, then we got to stop adorning ourselves like idiots. I mean,
no, we don't. Those are not, Susan. Those are not relatable.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying I don't want somebody else telling me which hairs I have to pluck out of my body and which hairs I got to glue onto my body. And when there are women who I happen to know would no more wear false eyelashes except that some person told them that they have to wear false eyelashes, I would say, go flush yourself down the toilet, sir. You put on false eyelashes. You put on lipstick. You get a perm. You dye your hair. You lose 10 pounds. You wear high heels. You do all this stupid shit.
Well, where do you think it's coming from? I mean, you think
I don't know.
You think men are telling women?
You tell me that Rachel Maddow wants to wear false eyelashes.
She does?
Well, she sure had them on last night. They were little spiky ones individually put in, so they didn't look. She didn't look like poor little Sarah Huckabee. The only time I ever feel sorry for that broad is when I see her standing there with those hedges on her eyes.
Hedges. See, I don't watch her, so I don't know. But wait, I'd be surprised. Rachel Maddow, you think had like individual?
I can guarantee you. And so, for some reason last night, that got me so angry I just couldn't stand it. If Rachel Maddow is gluing hair onto her eyelashes because some man told her to, what chance do the rest of us have?
Well,
I mean, really, really. I do think that women have to stop this crap. We look fine just the way we are.
Oh, that sounds like Mr. Rogers, who had a special on PBS last night. And
I know.
you know what? I watched that and I found myself crying twice. What a gentle, wondrous, loving soul. If everybody were like that, we'd be living in paradise. But he was not like everybody else. Yeah. Well, I agree that you think women do that totally for men, or do you think they also do it for other women?
I think women do it for themselves because they have been convinced now that they look like crap unless they do this.
Yeah.
We've bought it. We have bought our own subjugation and we impose it on ourselves. And I'm really serious about this. I see this as a symptom of if we really think that we want equality in pay, equality in power, equality in just being viewed as serious and real individuals, then we need to start treating ourselves that way. And I'm sorry if it means that a lot of people who make their money in these silly little industries might not make as much. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it if you want to do it. But to be told to do it, to be told that you're unattractive if you don't do it, to be told that the way you look naturally is wrong.
Well, that's right.
And I'm tired of it. And it's just stupid.
I didn't know.
It wastes time and it wastes money, and it's all about all the things that are unimportant.
Yeah, this is true. You know, just since I let my hair go its natural route, and also just decided to stop getting haircuts too, I can't imagine how much money I should tote it up. How much money?
You should start thinking about how much money you saved and how much time.
Oh. And, you know, when I was on vacation, I did not do makeup either. And
can I say you look just beautiful?
Well, thank you very much. But I still think I look more beautiful with makeup on.
Well, hell, our mother puts on lipstick to swim her laps in the morning because some man told her that he saw her swim one day. So now she puts on lipstick because some man looked at her.
I mean, you're absolutely right. We women have, this has happened from, stop and think and ask me if you don't do this. I have tried to bite my tongue, but I've heard myself do this. This comes at women, it comes at little girls before they even are capable of thought and language. Think of all the times that you see a adorable little girl and you say, "You are so pretty." I've heard myself say it.
Yep.
Yeah?
One of my daughter's friends who is fostering 3 beautiful siblings, and hopefully now that she's had them for a year will be allowed to adopt them.
I hope so too.
But she early on, because the little girl was just spectacularly beautiful, forbade people from saying that. She said, "You may tell my little girl how smart she is, right? Just like you tell."
You see, but you don't know how smart she is. The immediate thing you see is how beautiful she is. You don't have to know her to be gobsmacked by how gorgeous she is. She'll be hearing it all her life.
All her life, but the mother tries to control it because she's right. There's more to her than her pleasant appearance.
Yeah, but we, so supposedly enlightened women, this is how ingrained it is. And I try mightily not to say that to little girls. I try to find something else. But you say things like, "Oh, I love your shoes," right? "Oh, what a cute dress." And that is all saying. It's all about the sort of superficial thing that gets you attention and gets you praise. No, it's so incessant because it comes at us on, in movies, on television, on social media, in our personal interactions, through marketing. And the women who are able to somehow withstand it are definitely in the minority, and they're also just strong as holy hell, or else just so contrarian.
I'm just saying that our capitulation as a gender to this particular part of our role that we've been assigned is detrimental to our overweening goals. And that if we want men to treat us as equals, we need to stop accepting the mantle of servitude that we wear every day and that we put upon ourselves. I don't know how any clearer to say it, but the more I sit back and look and watch and look and watch, as usual, I think, I hear all these white people saying that black people have to fix their own problems, that we can't impose solutions. Well, I feel much the same way about women. We can blame where we are on men all we want, but until we stop accepting the terms, until we get more like those West Virginia teachers,
God bless them,
and just say, nah, we ain't going to do this anymore. Who made up these rules? They aren't our rules. We don't accept them anymore. You can't give us the rules and use them against us. And that's what they do.
Okay. Norma says, I totally agree with Susan. And then she goes on, and stop shaving and waxing your private parts. When did this torture become the norm? I so agree with that. I was stunned to find out that women
are ripping their pubic hair.
I can't even
Well, and here's the stupid thing. Men, like idiots, are falling for this too. It's just stupid. Well, you need that hair. It was put there for a reason.
Yes, God put it there for a reason. And I have to tell you something else.
Wait long enough, it'll all fall out.
Yeah, that's true. Not quite all, but it definitely it goes like your eyebrows.
Out of the middle of your cheek, and out of your nose, and out of your ears.
Right, you get like a hair coming out of your chin here that grows at such speed. I mean, like from day to day, it grows 3 inches. It's beyond belief, and you don't even notice it till you trip over it. And the reality is that What's reality? I think there's something really bizarre about women wanting to look like girls.
Like prepubescent boys? Yes.
Yes. Like
because prepubescent girls, more accurately.
Yeah, prepubescent girls. Taking away a sign of their womanhood. It's
in
much,
other words,
and
that guy you're with would rather be screwing a child.
Exactly. And I think for men now to get used to seeing these hairless pubic areas, yes, that's creepy. It's pedophilic. So here are young women, and you know some of them, and there's in every other way, like,
Well, there's plenty of older women, too,
that are doing it?
Jesus
H. Sure. I talked to my gynecologist about this when I became aware of it about a few years ago, and she said, it's just beyond belief. She said, and she tells all the women who are doing it, this is not only unnecessary, it is actually against your own, good health
interest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus. Hair on our bodies is there for a reason. The hair in your nose is there to trap stuff that your body doesn't want getting in. I suspect that is true of your what'd you call it? What's that area?
The hair on pudenda?
Pudenda. Is that
that's plural, dumb.
Pudendum. What a word.
I don't know. Sorry,
Pudenda.
I
It's
didn't mean to skew it there, but it's just getting to me. It's really getting to me. I'm thinking of, I'm listening to all of these arguments that people are screaming about, and trying to figure out what is just down at the bottom, some stuff we can do, and I feel the same way. And for me, it's each woman taking control of her own body and dominion and control over her own body, and really looking at herself and saying, really, what do you want to do? What do you not want to do? And I'm not saying walk around and be ugly, and I'm not saying make yourself unhappy. I'm just saying we don't have to do all this stuff, and I think overall it does not inure to our benefit to do it. I think it's a sign of servitude.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think we should look at it that way, and I think we should be conscious of it that way. And the more you look at it that way, the more you'll not want to do it. Okay, so that was one of my rants. The other rant is the stuff about school shootings and securing our schools, and all these people that are writing letters everywhere and saying we need to put guns here, and we need to secure our schools, and we need to stop funding sports and secure our schools, use the money there. And I just want to say, as someone who spent a lot of years on a school board after Columbine, that if you don't think every school district in the country has consulted with police and with security people and gone over plans and put plans in place and done everything that they could to make their school a safe place, you're all idiots.
Right.
And then I will say the second thing. If you think there is anything that you can do to keep somebody from getting into your school and shooting up your kids, you're nuts.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can do. You can't lock all the doors from the inside and the outside, because then they'll die in a fire. You just have to think all of these things through, and you will understand how complete security is not possible. So now it is time to say you've all pushed it way too far. You took your Second Amendment rights to the point of absurdity, and now the only thing left to do really is to confiscate the guns. I suggest that we open up an armory. Everybody put their guns willingly in the armory. When you want to go hunt, you may go check out your gun.
Oh.
I've had it.
Well,
They've
I understand,
just taken
Susan,
it
but
way too far.
Yeah.
And if the argument is there's way too many out there, so it's too late now, well, no. Then there's way too many out there, and we've got to get them in. And I don't know why we're just lying down here and saying, well, nothing can be done. Let's shoot up a few more kids. Your kid's next. Your kid's next. Your kid's next. Stop it.
Okay.
This is just stupid. So that's my second rant. You've shut me up for 6 weeks. I'm done now. I'm going back.
Yeah, I was going to say we ought to shut you out for 6 weeks more often, because you come back, you'll pardon the expression, gunning for people, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I will say it's politically unfeasible, your armory idea.
Oh, of course it is. But, I mean, I'm just saying that it's time, all of these little namby-pamby measures really are bullshit.
Yeah.
And again, we're just bargaining from a position of weakness when in fact we are in the majority.
Right.
And there's absolutely no reason for us to be bargaining from this position of weakness. We need to stand up and take back control of our country.
Right.
Period.
All right. Susan, you mentioned the triumphant West Virginia teachers. And yeah. Wow.
And for that, Lynn, they got 5,000. 5% of what?
5%.
So let's say.
Well, I think I know somewhere. 5% of 40-some thousand.
I was going to say 40,000. So let's just figure that
more.
out. That's $2,000 a year divided by 52. Take out taxes.
I know. It's it's a little more than 40. Average of those teachers is 46,000, but that's 13% less than the national average. And there was the reality is you mentioned the shooting stuff. Teachers in our country are expected to do an awful lot more than teach, right? Their work is they're like social workers, they're psychologists. Donald Trump actually suggested that one way teachers could earn more money is agreeing to become armed So they can be armed security. They can do all of this. They deal with the effects of poverty in West Virginia, which has the, I think, worst opioid overdose death rate. That plays out in the classroom. They have teachers there in lots of schools have closets that they keep clothes in, so that when a kid comes in with filthy clothes, they've got clothing to give them. And they do this on their own dime, just like they've been buying school supplies.
Every school in elementary, every teacher in elementary school has a closet with clothes in it.
It's unbelievable. And they are also in West Virginia noticing that a lot of the kids who do have ADHD and who are medicated are all of a sudden, in the last few years, not medicated and disrupting classrooms. And they figured out that because their parents are selling the kids' medication.
Or taking it. It's speed.
Or they're selling it to get the meds they really want, which are, you know, OxyContin and the opioids.
I mean, it's speed. It's very it's been a known issue forever that high school kids that get Adderall and all that stuff for their ADHD have always sold it.
It's
here's a party drug for heaven's sake.
Yeah, here's the reality. Teachers are now in a position where they are literally not only being asked to educate, but also being asked to lay down their lives, right? How many teachers have died trying to protect their students? Unbelievable.
Well, let me just point out the other thing. I mean, we have students that drive these teachers
nuts
to the point of crazed anger, and it is through monumental control that these teachers don't do more than they do. But usually when they absolutely can't stand it anymore, there have been several incidents of teachers duct taping errant children to their chairs, which I find to be actually a creative and amusing.
But wait, Susan, what if those teachers...
But when I was on the school board, it's not. I mean, that a teacher ends up getting...
you'd be fired.
That's a bad thing to do.
Right.
But now we're going to give these teachers guns.
Guns? They can shoot the kid.
That's right.
Right.
And don't think they won't.
Yeah. There'll be kids who will be killed. Or don't think a kid can't get hold of the gun. Right.
Or a kid will get hold of the gun and shoot the teacher.
It's just...
why anybody thinks, can't think 2 seconds into the problem to understand that is a no-go.
I know. It's beyond belief. So listen, I came upon, I don't know if you maybe saw it, but it was just a sort of little story, and this is about history that very few of us know anything about. And they said that, in fact, it's sort of been lost to history until someone found some old information somewhere. Department stores are pretty much a dying kind of institution, right? But they used to be just extraordinary things. I'm thinking about turn of the late 1800s into the 1900s. Department stores were amazing. And the thing is that they took care of their employees in astonishing ways. Let me give you for instance. I'm talking about Macy's, I'm talking about Saks, Bloomingdale's, Lord & Taylor, and I'm talking like about 1910. Common store services for employees included pharmacies, emergency rooms, surgical suites, delivering babies, employee-only lunchrooms, academic classes, vocational classes, sun lounges, rooftop parks, vacation camps, libraries, parlors stocked with stationery, maid-attended bathrooms with combs and brushes, Do you believe that? Susan, I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
what is, that was, so anyway, the piece I read on this was in the New York Times, and it ended thusly, which just cracked me up and then made me want to cry. Because remember the recent news that Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Jamie
Right, healthcare. Right.
yeah, maybe are trying to think up a way that they themselves will offer independent health care for their employees. And the guy who wrote this article says, well, gentlemen, welcome to the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
Think of that. I mean, think of that. If you worked at one of these places in the late 19th century, early 20th century, they were giving you all this. The entire 11th floor of Lord and Taylor on Fifth Avenue, I remember that store. Is it still there?
Yeah.
That's where I got my wedding dress. The whole 11th floor was devoted to nothing but employee health and welfare. Hospitals, gymnasiums, Ruth Gardens, school rooms for employees' children. I'm looking at a picture of a bunch of boys sitting at a school in 1899, and it's in a department store, and their parents are employees. Jesus H. I mean,
Well,
come on. It even mentions our store here in Pittsburgh, Kaufman's, and this was before Kaufman's was just Kaufman's. Of course, it's gone now. It doesn't exist. At the Kaufman and Bayer store in Pittsburgh, women relaxed on the sunroof while men played basketball in wire cage courts. That for employees on the roof. Who knew? Do you see how far we've come backwards?
mm-hmm.
Welcome to the 19th century.
Well, but you know the good news about all of this, going back to those teachers in West Virginia, is that for all the attempts to put down unions and to lessen the effect of unions, the story of unions is not forgotten. So that those teachers who were forbidden to do what they did and may or may not have been unionized, but it didn't matter because they were an ineffective one, decided to use their good old union tactic, which worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's right. The more that we take all of these things away and try and tell people that that's the way it should be, the more that they're going to remember that, no, this isn't the way it was, and it doesn't have to be that way, and you don't get to keep all the money. I get some too.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do think we're going to start seeing a bunch of these things.
Well,
I hope so.
Yeah, I was talking yesterday about, I think we will, and this will be maybe the one positive legacy of Donald Trump, that he is going to be pretty much the direct result. I mean, he will...
He'll
you know
be the catalyst.
The catalyst for essentially a revolution, a rebellion, uprising, mostly led by women. Henry, by the way, writes, my niece is a teacher in West Virginia. She tells me the salary increase barely covers the increase in their health care contribution.
Of course.
Right. It's also, he says, I'd also like to know why it is that the state of West Virginia sets the salaries. Here in Pennsylvania, the school boards set salaries. I'm pretty sure that's how it works in every school district and in certainly in most places, right?
Well,
Susan?
but they're very different, clearly. They have one huge school district, which is run by the state, because those teachers weren't bargaining with individual school districts. They were... somehow West Virginia is in charge of their own the whole educational system. Each state does it the way they do it. But I just want to say that when I sat on that school board every year when we talked salaries, and and I would see in my district the members of the board were usually fairly well-heeled individuals.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would watch them nickel and diming these people. And and I would just look at them and say, well, Mrs. So-and-so, I happen to know that when you have dinner at Tony's, you drop more than that on dinner a night. And you're quibbling about whether you can stretch this out over a year and give this teacher 25 cents more, and they should be excited.
And so this was a relatively well-to-do hunk of taxpayers, a bunch of taxpayers.
This was a relatively well-to-do hunk of taxpayers,
right?
Still wresting the money from their hands to pay the teachers that they expected to do the best for their little darlings. I never understand this disconnect.
Well,
why we want to hate the teachers that we send our children to.
Lynn writes from Ohio. I lived in Boston in 72, 73. I worked at Filene's. Oh, great. The building was across the street from Jordan Marsh. We had a medical room with a staff nurse and an employee's cafeteria where I ate the best baked stuffed haddock in my life. It was great. So that still hung on even into the 70s there. Wow. Well, it's all gone now. It's law of the jungle, everybody for themselves. Hey, Susan, I came across something so funny in the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yes. And
that's a challenge.
Yes, and yes, it's true. And I've created a new little category for the show because it gets the Irony Award of the day. And the headline is Pearson Family, a family that is from Oklahoma, I guess. Pearson family sues University of Chicago. And I thought, what's that about? So I just read the first paragraph, and that's where I found the irony. Listen to this. A family foundation that gave the University of Chicago $100 million in 2015 to fund research aimed at reducing conflict around the world is suing the school for breach of contract. I love it. They spend.
Why? Because there isn't peace?
Huh?
Why? Because there isn't peace in the world?
No, because they don't think the university is using their money properly and getting things up off the ground. But the idea of they want
that they're suing to
they want a conflict-free world, and they after
they'll sue if they
after 2.5 years they say, all right, that's it. We're suing the pants off you. I love it. Anyway, so that was that. And you did a little rant. I want to do a little rant, too. I get so annoyed, and always have, and I thank God someone wrote a piece on it. So, when somebody finally writes something that you've been thinking, and you think, yes, why don't people stop doing this? And what it is when people say things like, did I spit on myself? What is that?
Oh, that sounded so funny because you led into it's like when people say things like that I hear, did I spit on myself?
What the? Jeez. It's the only thing I can think of. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay, rant away.
Okay.
It's lost some of its force.
I know. What the hell was it? Oh, yeah.
So this person wrote something.
When people say things like, oh, you baby boomers, messed up the entire world, or these millennials will either they're lazy, narcissistic bums, or they're going to save our ass. That kind of millennials, Gen X.
Don't listen to teenagers because they eat Tide Pods.
Yeah, well, this guy who wrote the piece called it the generation game. This absolutely absurd, and I guess it's media driven. It would be, because who else decides that everybody born between this date and that date are somehow the same? So much so that you can tar the entire group, made up of obviously individuals with all kinds of personality traits, this and that. It drives me nuts. Nuts. Don't you agree? What is that bullshit? Yeah. And people do it all the time. I mean, stop it. I mean, part of why I started hating it is because baby boomers, which is my cohort, baby boomers were always maligned, you know, and from the time we were causing trouble.
You're gone. Somebody hit a button.
Hello? She's gone.
Yeah, somebody hit a button. I'm back.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody did hit a button.
I don't know. Carlos looking like, I swear to God, I did
He's
not.
Looking like a chef in Top Chef. Are his hands up?
Oh, see, I don't know the show. Anyway.
You don't watch Top Chef? Oh, geez.
Susan, I don't. I'm so out of it, and I love it. It's why I'm happier. But anyway, baby boomers are, you know, we totally destroyed everything in the 60s, and now we've totally destroyed everything economically. We're selfish. We're jerks. We're this. We're that. What kind of bullshit? It's the same kind of idiocy to me as astrology, that somehow there are character traits that can be, you know, put on people born between this date and that date. Give me a break.
You don't think I'm a Leo?
What are the traits of a Leo?
I don't know. I roar a lot, right?
Well, you
I'm
probably do have some of the Leo traits. And I'm a Capricorn. All I knew is Richard Nixon was a Capricorn. And I thought, okay, so what traits do Richard Nixon and I have in common? What bullshit.
You're both very bright. You were both very bright.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That doesn't do it. That just so I just want to say that ascribing characteristics to any mass of human beings, all of them unique, is the stupidest thing imaginable.
Well, it's just ageism. That's just ageism. You know, they're taking a whole group of people that are only similar by a range of age, and then, ascribing characteristics to them.
What
I mean,
kind of stupidity?
No different. That's an ism. It's no different than saying all white people are arrogant assholes, or the same thing.
I agree. So we agree.
We do agree.
All right.
So that's your rant? I don't know. I think let's think of other things to get exercised about.
Well, you're the one who started with eyelashes. Excuse me. There are children dying in Syria, and you said eyelashes.
Well, I know. Totally focused on the surface stuff. And to go on with that, I would just like to say, did you watch the Oscars?
How did you know? See, our minds work exactly. I was just about to say, the Oscars, I turned them off, actually.
Yeah, well, it was boring, but not
very
before
boring.
I saw Sandra Bullock wearing her own death mask. Did you see her?
Yeah, what happened to her? She looked horrific.
Didn't she look like she was wearing her own death mask?
What happened? She really didn't even look like herself. You think that's plastic surgery gone awry?
Well, I think that's way too much filler in her cheek and then a face full of Botox.
Yeah, it's that bullshit again. God, those women. Why don't they stop doing that?
And she was so cute, and she would have been a cute older person, too.
Yeah.
Now she just looks like a plastic doll of herself.
Yeah, scary. I saw her, too, and thought, whoa. But I by the way, the lowest rated Oscars ever.
It was boring. It wasn't funny. It was boring.
Well, you know
there was
what?
Nothing to recommend it.
Here's what I think. Why would anyone? And it's not an. First of all,
why do we care who's giving them? It's their trade show. Why do
exactly? It's their trade show, and it has, let's admit it, become a platform for liberal politics, right? Or progressive politics. And I can see why people who don't share those politics would tune out. But I share the politics, and it puts me off. Why? I don't know. Stupid, boring. The speeches. I don't need to. I don't know. I'm done. I can tell. I'm done, and I'm not alone. I'm not. Young people. I want to say, here's a generational thing. Millennials don't watch the Academy Awards. They don't. And now this old baby boomer is sick of them. I just bored.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was my one comment. That was the only,
okay.
Looking back on the whole thing, the only thing that sticks in my brain as being memorable was my shock.
Oh, at Sandra Bullock.
At Sandra Bullock's face. Other than that, that was it. Other than that, I think I played bridge.
I wondered if it was because, I think every other Academy Awards I've watched while, drinking, smoking pot, eating popcorn, and I'm not doing any of that stuff anymore. So I just sat there and watched it, and I thought, this is awful.
Well, no, I can assure you it read the same way from the other side of the
because you were drinking and smoking pot? It's still...
Sure, I'm in California where all is legal.
Yeah, I know. No, but it actually...
Blissfully legal.
Yeah, the ratings were down 20% from just last year. 4 years ago, 44 million people watched the Academy Awards. You know who watched Sunday? 26 million. That is 4 years.
But I actually think that had more to do with the crop of movies. I mean,
that's true.
The two that won all the awards, people didn't even
see. That's true.
So I just think people weren't interested. There was nothing that they were rooting for. There were no people particularly that they cared about.
I guess.
And
but the thing is, ratings for all live events, sporting events, shows, it's all way, way, way down. So people just, TV just, people have control now. They don't have to.
They don't have to watch.
It's the only show.
Yeah. Right.
It's the only show in town. I'm sorry, it's not. And So Chuck writes, I very much enjoyed the special on Mr. Rogers last night. It was beautifully produced, full of wonderful reminders of his kindness and of better times. His conversations with the boy in the wheelchair and Yitzhak Perlman were fantastic lessons for all. I know, it blows you away. I couldn't help but wonder what Mr. Rogers would have to say, oh God, about social media, school shootings, and the current political climate. He would be so...
He would be distraught like the rest of us.
He would be so appalled. But he would... And he would feel that it was... I don't know. Who knows? And why isn't Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in perpetual reruns? Because PBS doesn't...
It is.
Well...
Isn't it?
No. It's somewhere, but it isn't on, like, the usual whatever.
Well, you can YouTube it. I mean,
yeah.
Because I know my grandson,
right.
Is already an aficionado because his daddy, took all power from Mr. Rogers.
I know. I have told... Actually, yeah, Sarah Silverman on the show, in the documentary, was so incredible herself in her reactions. And she says she feels like Mr. Rogers helped make her the good parts of the person she is, and that he still sort of, lights her way to what she wants to be. I mean, the power that gentle man had is
He
just
was a real moral compass.
wow.
He really provided a clear, shining moral compass to small children in a way that they just completely got and felt comforted
And
by.
never
That
talked.
such a thing would exist.
Never
Yeah.
talked down to them.
Uh-uh.
Never, ever. Although the first time I met him, I really was so freaked. I mean, because I didn't watch his show as a child. Did you? I don't
a
think
little,
it,
yeah.
I don't think.
did.
Well, it
I
didn't
remember it.
exist. I think you might have gotten the tail. I before you
I
aged
remember
out.
seeing it before I had children. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, but I mean, what? But when he talked, when you met him in person, when he talked in the same way, he looked at you in the same way he was, and they kept saying on the show all the time, he was exactly who you saw on TV. That is true, absolutely true. And there's something that was so disconcerting to be talked to in that gentle tone by this adult when you're an adult, and I felt immediately like I was a child again. I just but thank God for your son, because I was able to contribute to the conversation when I met him was the story about Arlie, and I'll tell it again. We were in Palm Springs, where my parents had a place. Susan's son was all of 3 or 4,
maybe at the most.
Yeah. And he had those, I don't know, he was standing next to the swimming pool, and our dad was in the pool, and he screamed at Arlie, "Hey, Arlie, come on in. And Arlie said, "Oh, I'm afraid," or something. "I'm afraid." Or he didn't say "I'm afraid." He just didn't want to. And our father said, "Come on in. What are you, afraid?" This is the kind of parenting we grew up with, right? "What's wrong with you? You afraid?" This from our sweet, gentle father, but who was clueless about how to talk to children. And Arlie stood up there to this big, over 6 foot tall guy, his grandfather, standing in the pool, and said, "Yes, I am afraid. And Mr. Rogers says it's okay."
And that put Papa in his place.
Yeah, that did. Shut him up. Anyway, Mr. Rogers loved the story, obviously. And, okay, we're out of time. Oh, no, we're not out of time. We got 10 more minutes because we started late.
We started late. We sure did.
Yeah. So we, Susan, I know Susan's dog is in boot camp. The dog that we sometimes have heard bark in the background while the show is on has gone to reform school. He was initially supposed to be there for a relatively short time, but he's proving somewhat recalcitrant, which is what Susan prophesied. She said, "He's very stubborn. He is not gonna wanna do this." So, he's going to go.
Well, I mean, if he weren't stubborn, I would have trained the dog myself, But I mean, there's only so far you can go with Ernie, and then it doesn't happen. But
so he was supposed to only be there, Suze, for 2 weeks. While
right,
and now it's
isn't up yet.
Yeah, but it's up on Thursday, and you say you're not going to enter the picture now till Monday. So he is proving
he's getting an extra week. Well, what was cute is that, I'm getting these videos, and when you send your dog away to be trained, it's terrifying. You don't want him to come home not your dog.
Right.
And you don't want him
broken,
to be
yeah.
trained. And I don't, and one of the main reasons that I use this guy is because before I could say anything, he said to me, "I don't want to break your dog. That's not the point." And he clearly hasn't, because he sent me a he sent me a videotape of Ernie's on leash work. Where
yes,
Ernie
which I saw. Yes,
in which Ernie is looking so totally bored, but he's doing it, and he's going, walking in circles, like, and looking at the guy like, why the hell do you want to do this? And he's yawning. He's you got to picture Ernie is a beagle shepherd mix, so he's a 60-pound hound-looking guy. So he's yawning, he's walking around. Then he lies down and on command and stays, which I think is really good, until the trainer says, "Come on, Ernie, come to me." And
he doesn't.
Looks at him and yawns.
He thinks, "What? You put me here in the middle of the street to lie down? What the hell?"
That was the nap cue.
Yeah. So,
And meanwhile, folks, you have to understand, I put this dog in here because he can be aggressive.
hard to believe, but yeah, so Susan is worried that because he shows aggression every once in a while, so Susan, speaking
in
of
unpredictable moments, that's got to be stopped. I'm worried that he'll one day do something that'll cause me to have to
kill him,
put him down. So that's why I'm doing this.
So did you happen to see these numbers that were in the New York Times science section yesterday?
No.
I'm glad you didn't, but now I'm going to share them with you. It says here, you are much more likely to be killed by a bee or a dog than by a terrorist, obviously, or by a snake or by a spider. The things we're most afraid of.
Well, that makes total sense, though.
Yeah, of course.
Because the more you surround yourself with something, the more chances there are to have something awful happen.
Well, here's what it says. In a 7-year period, it's not that many anyway, 478 of us, Americans, were killed by bees or hornets or wasps. That's the biggest number. But that's because of,
anaphylactic shock.
Yeah, anaphylactic shock. But the next biggest number is dogs. 272 people were killed by dogs, and most of those are children. Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is why Susan is nervous. Because that can I had a dog who had shown no signs ever of aggression, and who, no one witnessed it, was alone in the backyard with a young boy, and almost took the kid's face off. Nobody knows what happened, the kid had to have done something, but it is frightening. Anyway, 72 people were also killed by other mammals, including cows, horses, and pigs. How the hell do you get killed by a pig?
Oh, you can get trampled. You know how.
Oh, they can be huge.
You lived on a pig farm.
Yeah, and they can be absolutely huge. But I also lived on that same farm. There were cows, and one of the most frightening moments of my life was when I was chased. Who knew? By a bunch of cows that were coming at me and running. I never saw cows run. Did you ever? They just stand around chewing, or they sleeping.
Did you ever hear of a stampede?
Yeah, but those are like beef cattle, right? I don't think of dairy cows. And it was with that same dog. We were walking in the field, and these cows came at us. Oh, God. I never ran so fast in my life. It was like Roger Bannister fast. I'm not kidding. I might have broken a record.
He just died, I think.
I know. That's why I said his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it also says it's usually family dogs or dogs known to the children.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So that's why you gotta. And people who are afraid of wild. Oh, I'm scared I'll get killed by a bear. Puma. No. Domesticated animals are the ones. Well, but as you say, they're the ones we're around.
Right.
Right.
But yes, as you say, this is why Ernie has been sent off to boot camp, and the reason that it happened, and is not the reason that you think, but the angel Clarence in
It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
Well, the female version of Clarence just appeared in the dog park one day to me. This woman that I have never seen before or seen since. A perfect, beautiful teeny little woman with snow white hair done in a French twist, wearing black, and the most beautiful diamond earrings and hoops that I've ever seen coming out of her ears. And she bestowed upon me the name of this trainer. And that was it. So I had to do it because I told Mom yesterday, I think she was the female version of Clarence, sent to me.
Well,
she was a very weird sight there, I have to see.
Yeah.
She was not your usual.
Yeah, and then you never saw her again. And then she disappeared.
Yeah, I never saw her again. Never in 3 years, had never seen her before. Yeah. And
who knows? So she was there to save you and Ernie. But of course, when you're going in for your training starting Monday, right? So that's the big part. You. We wish you all the best, Suze, because you're stubborn too, just like Ernie.
Well, the problem is I'm rooting for Ernie.
I know, but you gotta know. Okay, God help you. Anyway,
okay.
I hate to.
Anyway, one last thing. I did see what was making me laugh is coincidentally across my news feed this morning comes a picture of a beagle sitting on the end of a what's that? Why am I blanking? A treadmill.
Okay.
Sitting on the end of a treadmill with one paw just, going on the treadmill back, just pawing at the treadmill as he sits at the end and yawning.
not moving.
He looks exactly like Ernie, but anyway.
Okay. Well, I think that might wrap it up.
Did we do it?
Yeah, I have one thing here, but I'm looking at it, and it's depressing, and I don't want to end on that. So it'll keep. Who needs it?
We can get depressed another day.
Yeah, that's my motto now. Okay, so guys, we hope to iron out this technical issue we're having, and
well, thank you for getting me on today, because if I had heard you say one more time, well, Susan will just get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and do it tomorrow.
No, I know, and I wouldn't. Yeah, I feel for you. I do. So, anyway, thank you, Susan. Great to hear your voice.
Bye.
Okay, bye. And thank you, guys, those of you who hung on, and I appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow and try to do this again. Okay? Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.